From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell, and this week I'm in the commentary box at Old Trafford Cricket Ground in Manchester in the north of England, where the potentially decisive fourth Men's Ashes Test is taking place. We've got the pillar box red hotel and hospitality buildings either side of in the one half much older Victorian Pavilion, which in itself has been developed and it has a very modern top half to it. But this is a really old historical ground. I was with around 500 Aussie supporters last night, though, who, whilst they know that they are close to retaining the Ashes urn, and a drawn series would do that, and a draw here would do that, they want to win the urn outright. Although England could still have a say about that, we'll know for sure whether this series is going to go down to a decider by the end of the weekend.
Jim Maxwell, I'm about 2 feet from Ali, sitting up here behind the wicket, getting ready for the entertainment. And to think I was listening to cricket in 1961 when Australia had a famous win, and this place was nothing like it is today. It's got hotels, all sorts of fancy spots around for entertaining, as well as that open stand that they build for this game. It really is a picture compared to the very unprepossessing joint that Alan Davidson made those famous runs on in 1961. Lovely to be here in the sunshine.
At the moment.
Well, I also have fond memories of Old Trafford because of BBC and Stumped back in 2019 at the World Cup. But for the moment, I'm 8,000 kilometers away in Chandigarh, which is also the capital of Punjab, because we have an inaugural Punjab Premier League, or the Sher-e-Punjab T20 Cup, going on. And I tell you what, I've been here for about a week. There were massive floods in North India, but somehow the sun's shining on Chandigarh, the water's receded, and we've had rather hot but dry conditions. The tournament's got off to a terrific start. The boys here hit the ball a long, long way. It won't be long before a lot of Punjab players are seen, maybe in the national firmament or even internationally. Watch out.
Exciting to hear, Charu, exciting to hear. Good to have you back, by the way, and you, Jim, as well. Hope Scotland was good for you. Speaking of those Aussie supporters I was with last night, they were already pretty pleased about the way the Women's Ashes has gone. In the end, a drawn series, and Australia, though, means they retained their trophy, so that's one tick in the box, but we'll have more on that later in the show, because we're going to start on Stumped this week in America. And that is because the first ever season of Major League Cricket is now underway. It's a new franchise T20 tournament, and it began last week in front of 7,000 fans at a redeveloped baseball ground in Texas. Now, Pakistan's Shadab Khan and former Australia captain Aaron Finch are amongst the star names taking part in the league, which features 6 teams from major US cities. One of those cities is San Francisco, and they've called their team the Unicorns, and they're co-owned by Indian-born entrepreneur Anand Rajaraman, who's worked in Silicon Valley. So why the name Unicorns for a cricket franchise? Well, Stumped's Sunil Gupta has been finding out more for us.
We were looking for a name that connected to the San Francisco Bay Area, which is the home area of the team, and we wanted it to sort of symbolize that area. The heart of it is Silicon Valley. Right, Silicon Valley has been the key theme, and technology, innovation, and companies entrepreneurship has been the key. And in the Bay Area, we call a company, a startup that has become successful, a unicorn. And of late, the same term has been applied to outstanding sportsmen as well, like Michael Jordan is a unicorn. Incidentally, the league did not like us initially using the name San Francisco Unicorn. They thought unicorns, it was not a safe thing to name a team the Unicorns, because it has never been done in the world of sports before. It's a new name, but Binky and I persisted, and we were able to convince the league to adopt the name Unicorns, and now the fans love it.
So tell us a little bit then about your journey into cricket and the MLC. I mean, have you always been a big cricket fan? Did you play cricket? Were you part of any team, or is it just the general Indian thing about cricket? As you know, there are 2 things in India, Bollywood and cricket, that drive Indians. Any part of the world, when you go to England and you have an India game, it's full of Indians essentially, and hardly anybody from anywhere else. So how did cricket enter your life?
Obviously, growing up in Chennai, it's kind of in the air, right? But what really kindled it and made it, made the fire big was that iconic moment in 1983 when, the Kapil Dev's team won the World Cup, right? So that really, turned that into a passion.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Anand. How did you get from Chennai, very quickly, Chennai to the US? Have you been in Silicon Valley all along? And a little bit about your business background before we actually get into the MLC.
Absolutely. So I was born and grew up in Chennai, which is where I got my love of cricket. Then I did my undergrad in India at IIT Madras. And then I came to the US back in 1993 to Stanford University to do my PhD in computer science. Halfway through my PhD in 96, I dropped out. Along with and together with a few of my friends, started my first company, a company called Junglee, which was one of the early companies in the e-commerce space. That company ended up being acquired by Amazon.com, and I, worked for Amazon for a while. In all this, my partner in crime was my partner at the San Francisco Unicorns, Venki Harinarayan. So our life tracks are somewhat parallel. We've been partners for the last 30 years. So after Junglee, we started a second company called Cosmix, early company in the artificial intelligence space. And that company was acquired by Walmart. We've invested in over 100 companies, many of them very successful. We're early investors in Facebook, for example. And right now, our newest startup is the San Francisco Unicorns.
But the crowd reaction, the actual people there at the games, has that been according to what you have thought you would be actually getting together?
The atmosphere in the stadiums has been electric. When you watch the games, it's just been electric. We've had, we've had a huge response from the community. The stadiums have been packed, and the response has been, the atmosphere has just been charged up and electric. So that's been amazing. And even the international players and the coaches have said that the grounds, the ground itself and the pitch, it's as good as anything that they have played anywhere in the world. In due course, I'm hoping that this becomes one of the top T20 tournaments in the world. I think that there's really a good scope for that happening. And the players are very happy to come and play in the US. For them, playing in the US has also been a dream for many of the players. And so they are very happy to come and play in the US. They're very happy to bring their families to the US. Many players have come with their families.
Do you sense that there will be an inflection point that you get the local Americans who are not really familiar with cricket to come in and watch cricket games as if they're watching something else, like a baseball game or whatever? What do you think needs to be done to move to that stage?
Got it. That's a good question. So first of all, in terms of one of the first things we need to do is to play in stadiums in countries all over the world. Right now, we are playing in two stadiums in Dallas and in Morrisville, North Carolina. We have huge audiences in San Francisco and Seattle and New York. That are eager to turn out. Right. So all the teams are working on building their own stadiums. Building stadiums takes time. Now, that's one of the key differences between launching cricket in the US and launching a T20 league in the UAE or India or South Africa, is that in those countries, the stadiums and the infrastructure already exists. Here, we have to build the stadiums and the infrastructure from scratch. So, and it takes time to do that. So each team is in the process of building its own stadium. So I'm hoping soon, within a year or two, we will have games, home and away games, as opposed to all the games in Dallas or Morrisville. And I think that will itself be a huge thing. So 3 games this season are going to be televised by CBS. The rest are going to be at Willow. But because we have these 3 games, it will expose cricket to a wider US audience. And we'll be making efforts like this to expose cricket to a wider US audience as well.
Well, that was the co-owner of the San Francisco Unicorns, Anand Rajaraman, with Stumped's Sunil Gupta. I have to say, I haven't watched a lot yet of the Major League Cricket. I tuned in for what was the second game, and I have to say that there wasn't really a crowd there. There was obviously night one. I know that the second game that I tuned into was a day game. I think temperatures were over 40 degrees, and that was perhaps suggested as to why there wasn't much of a crowd. So I need to see more of it to sort of qualify that comment about, the stadiums being packed, because that game that I tuned into certainly wasn't at all. But the streaming will be important, the TV audience will be important, and it sounds like it's got some, certainly bandwidth there. I mean, Jim, I remember a while back when we were talking about, cricket in the Caribbean, where financially, there is a struggle. But you spoke very strongly about the potential of cricket in North America because of the money that it can have at its disposal. Do you feel that this genuinely can be the start of a new era for cricket in the States, or is there a danger that it might flop like pro cricket did in 2004, if you remember that commercial league that wasn't sanctioned by the ICC?
Well, it's all about audience, particularly eyeballs, more than people at the ground, I suppose, in terms of getting some revenue out of it. But it's worth remembering that in 12 months or more, we're going to be seeing the T20 World Cup played in America and the West Indies. Now, how much of it is going to be played in the United States and how much in the West Indies is a moot point at this stage. But I would have thought that is a very important vehicle for T20 cricket, for the game of cricket to be involved with.
But the first thing I'd like to mention, without being cynical at all, is that Major League Soccer has been going on not for 30 years, for actually 55 years or so in the US. And it's still, unfortunately, not quite where they obviously wanted it to be, despite so much being thrown at it. So, and soccer is like, a global game. Everybody's involved. Not so, I'm afraid, cricket. This league has taken place despite there being a strong federation base in the US, because after all, one of the owners of the league is a very major media house in India. And although the timing is completely wrong, the coverage that we're getting in, say, the old-fashioned newspapers, and I suppose their digital versions, is massive. And I was wondering, what's with the US league? Then I remembered, of course, that, it's owned by that media house, so it's getting a lot of coverage here. But as you said, the stadiums are not quite packed. And I think what they've done is given a fee to the current members of the US Cricket Association and said, well, just, don't worry, here's the money, and we'll manage all of it. And finally, it's the money that's being made by the IPL teams in India. As you know, that a lot of these teams are also sort of IPL fronted in the US and many other parts of the world. So to a certain extent, they are bankrolling new leagues around the world.
Well, next on Stumped, the Women's Ashes Trophy may be heading back to Australia, but the Aussies had to work really hard for it against a determined and resilient England side who were supported by record crowds in scenes unprecedented for a women's bilateral series in the UK. After losing the opening test of the series, England were down 4-0 in the points system in the multi-format series. They then lost the first T20, which left them 6 points behind with only 8 left to play for. They would have to win all their remaining white ball matches to turn over the Aussies, and they did come close. Fighting back, they inflicted 3 consecutive defeats on the world champions for the first time in 6 years, before narrowly losing by just 3 runs in the one-day international in Bristol. That was enough for Australia to retain the trophy, but England ensured the series was levelled on points with victory in the rain-affected final one-day international in Taunton. Joining us is England fast bowler Kate Cross, who took 3 wickets in the Taunton win and played a crucial role with the bat in a nail-biting victory in Bristol. Kate, welcome to Stumped. So you won the T20 and won the ODI sort of legs of the series, if I can put it like that. And that is some achievement in itself, even though you haven't actually managed to win back the Ashes itself.
Yeah, that was our goal, actually. When we went 6-0 down, we knew that we just had to take it one game at a time, because we were effectively playing knockout cricket at that point, with Australia only needing to win one game to retain the Ashes. So first and foremost, we wanted to win that T20 series, and I think that was a real big achievement for us, because getting over the line at the Oval was more of a mental thing than it was skill level. That's kind of how we felt against Australia. When we go toe to toe with them, there's not that much between us, but just not many teams get to beat Australia at the moment. So I think it was that mental challenge more than anything. So yeah, to come away with 2 series wins was brilliant. Obviously, we'd have loved to have the Ashes trophy back in the UK, but not to be this time. But I still think it was a really big achievement for us as a team to do what we've done.
Yeah, I think even for the Aussies, the fact that they have retained the trophy, Alyssa Healy, the captain, has said it sort of felt a bit dirty, the fact that they've retained it, but they haven't actually managed to win outright. I mean, how did you as a team turn things around? When you talk about that mental approach. How did you rally? What was the key to that?
There was a moment for me in the dressing room at Edgbaston when we went 6-0 down that first T20. And, being 6-0 down after 2 games in an Ashes series, a few of us have been there before, and we've got plenty of those T-shirts. So there was just a moment where Heather spoke to us and she was just smiling and she said, "We're really, really close, girls. We've just got to keep believing that how we're playing our cricket at the minute is going to beat this team." And I came out of that dressing room having lost, feeling like that was it. We were going to just take them on now. And obviously we turned it around at the Oval and then had that epic game at Lords as well. So that was a real turning point for me. But like I said, I think it was more the mental challenge. We've really had that battle against Australia in the last couple of years. Well, probably closer to 10 years now. But I also think it helps having some young guns in the team who don't have scars against Australia. And, you watch Alice Capsey facing Elise Perry and she doesn't really care who's bowling the ball at her. She's going to whack it to the boundary. So I think there's an element of that that's really helped us with this series. But the crowds as well. The crowds have been absolutely incredible. They really have got us over the line when it's been really close. And it has made such a difference.
We'll come to your own performances in a bit, but just how good has Nat Sciver-Brunt been? Because she hit her second century in 3 days with the 129 in Taunton, and that's been her fourth ODI century in 5 innings with Australia when you look at it as a whole, but just some magnificent batting.
Yeah, I knew you'd ask me about Nat, and I've kind of run out of words to describe how good she is. I keep just telling her that she's so good at cricket. But for Nat, I think how she celebrated her 100 at the Ageas probably sums her up perfectly. She was out there for the team. She didn't even know she'd got that milestone. Sarah Glenn went and hugged her and she said, "Why are you hugging me?" She said, "You've just got 100. So she, she's just not even thinking about herself in those moments. She's the most selfless cricketer and her skill level is through the roof. She's the best player in the world at the moment. And to have her on our team, we just know that Australia fear her. I know I'd fear bowling at her. So yeah, she's remarkable, and to do what she's done, I'm just so glad we got the win for her yesterday, because those first 3 or the first 4 hundreds that she'd got in those ODIs were on the back of defeat. So I'm really glad we got the win for her yesterday, because she thoroughly deserved it.
All right, Kate, just on a personal note, will the closing moments of the Bristol game stay with you the longest? Because when you walked in, England still needed, and you came in at number 10, England still needed 29. Of course, you had Heather Knight, and then you cracked it all over the place. 4 boundaries, including that favorite ram shot of yours that I believe you love. Is that a very special memory?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Again, I think when you're in the middle of it all, you're kind of riding the wave and you do take it in, of course you do, because those are the moments that you're going to remember. But I think it'll be something that I'll definitely look back on in a few years' time as one of my highlights. It's definitely never happened before where I get to close a game out with the bat. If you saw me bat at Taunton, you'll understand why it was such a big deal that I scored some runs. So it's not often that I find the middle of my bat. But no, it was a really special day, and more so for Heather actually. I'm really pleased that I was able to contribute to it being such a big day for her on her home ground, with all her family and friends in the crowd. She played such a captain's knot that day, and there was so much grit and determination from our team not to lose that match and keep the Ashes series alive. So yeah, it was a really, really special day. Me and Heather keep saying to each other that we'll always have Bristol now.
And I hope your mum is going to have more faith in you, Kate, next time you come out at number 10, because wasn't she in the stands saying, "Oh, this has got first baller all over it"?
Yeah, apparently she does it all the time. Obviously, I don't get the pleasure of listening to her commentary when I play, but yeah, there's always at the end of the game, my brother-in-law or my dad will say, "Oh, your mum was slating you batting again," or whatever it is. But I think it's her way of protecting me and protecting herself.
Calming her nerves.
She obviously doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't want me to fail. So I think it's her way of looking after herself when she's in the stands and being a bit nervous.
Well, it's been an absolutely compelling series to watch. Congratulations on your role in it. And well, there's another series to come, as an England women playing again in September. So encourage all the crowds to, again, get online, buy tickets and go and watch those matches, and don't let the Ashes be the special part of the summer. Just support the England women throughout. Kate, thanks so much for being with us on Stumped, and good luck for the rest of the summer.
Thanks very much. Thanks, guys.
That's Kate Cross. You can hear more from Kate on her No Balls podcast on the BBC that she co-hosts with Alex Hartley. That is all we've got time for on Stump for this week. So I'll say thanks to Cherry Sharma and to Jim Maxwell, and to all of you for listening. See you again next week. Bye-bye.